When we function from a place where our why is absolutely clear, that is when we get super excited about the day to finish on the tasks that we have planned for the day, and it's easier for us to take action without procrastination. I've actually talked in depth about why you should identify your passion in this particular video, the science behind identifying your passion, and operating from a place where your why is absolutely clear. But for this video, we are going to talk about a practical way which can help you identify your why and help you operate from a place wherein your passion is absolutely clear to you. In this video, we are going to be doing a guided exercise that will help you identify your why. So you might as well want to make yourself a cup of green tea or a coffee, play this video on a laptop, sit on a table and a chair, and have a paper and a pen handy to do this particular exercise. We all have heard about finding our Ikigai. It's actually the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. But in this video, we are going to identify how to find out your Ikigai with a small but impactful exercise. The step number one is to actually understand what all these four elements actually mean. So the first circle is identifying what you love. This is something which covers your passion, something that gets you a lot of joy and fulfillment when you do that particular activity. Number two is what you are good at. This is something which comes very naturally to you. For some people, makeup comes very naturally. For some people, looking good or speaking well comes very naturally. And for some people, they're very super organized and conscientious about how they do stuff. So this is something which is innate in you, which is something that has been there by birth. God gives each of us some of the other qualities that we are good at. It's just that we have still not uncovered and identified what we are good at. Number third is what the world needs. Ways in which you can contribute to the economy and society and do your part. And lastly, number four is what you can get paid for. Skills that have economic value. It's very important to understand each and every four elements of the Ikigai to actually understand what to put in each of these categories. Once we are super clear about what each and every element is asking for, then we move on to the step number two. And this is where you will need your pen and paper and some time to identify activities in each of these particular categories. For this, you will need to answer a couple of questions that will help you to identify the activities. To help you identify these activities, I have curated a list of questions that you can journal upon to identify the activities that can fall in each of the elements. Let's start with the first element, that is identifying what is something that you love, basically that gets you joy and fulfillment. So here are the questions that you can journal upon. Number one is what activities make you lose track of time? Some activity that you start doing and you forget that in which zone that you are in, if it is night or morning. Basically, when you don't think about looking at the watch that is in front of you. Number two, what is that activity that you enjoyed in your childhood and that you still enjoy doing it? For me, that is painting. I used to love my drawing classes, and still now I love painting. That is an activity that I absolutely enjoy and lose track of time when I'm doing that particular activity. Basically, I was super excited about painting is because it used to get out those creative juices and creative instincts in me. And with the help of now creating videos, that is something that is getting fulfilled too. So basically, I identified that I'm a super creative person and I need some kind of creative work to do in order to get my creative instincts out. And that's exactly how I express myself. And lastly, number three is what is that activity that gets you super energized and something that you can talk about even when someone wakes you up in the night. For me, that is creating YouTube videos. I'm super passionate about YouTube and about creating content, about curating content content, about what topics that I should be creating content on, how the lighting should be, how you should be filming. I've actually created a video talking about how you should be filming with your phone. That's actually gotten a lot of views on this particular channel. That is because you can see a glint in my eyes when I talk about creating videos on the channel. So that is something which I absolutely love, that gives me a lot of fun and fulfillment when I do that particular activity. So you might want to journal upon these particular questions to identify what are those activities that gets you joy and fulfillment. Now let's move on to the next element, that is something that you are actually and innately good at. So here are the questions that you can use to journal to identify what you are good at. What skills come naturally to you? For example, speaking and public speaking, which comes very naturally to me. And I love speaking to a crowd. I love speaking on camera. I love speaking on stage. Some people have fear and phobia of that, so that they might be very good at one-on-one conversations, or maybe they can be good at something else. But there are things that you can identify what you are actually good at and innately good at. Speaking to people, speaking on camera, and speaking with large crowds is something that comes very naturally to me, and that is why I've identified two of the professions basis on which, like for example, one is being an academician, another one is speaking to you guys, creating content, maybe talking on the videos is something that I have chosen as my career path. Next is, what do people often ask you for help with? For example, a lot of people ask me about how to create content, which camera to buy, or which tripod to use, and all sorts of those questions. Maybe also they ask me a lot of questions about how to be confident, how to speak in front of a crowd, how to present yourself, how to have a very magnetic personality. All of these questions, something that people ask me a lot, and because of which I've identified this is something that I'm actually good at. Might as well use that and share that knowledge with you guys so that it can help you and benefit. So this is something that I've identified over the period of time, wherein I've actually tried and experimented with a lot of different things. I've journaled on things and stuff that I absolutely loved. I've discussed and have deep conversation with my husband on things that I absolutely love, and we always come to a same conclusion that he and I see myself as speaking and addressing to a crowd, and I feel this is something where I thrive at. So what you can do is maybe journal out and actually look for experiences that can remind you and can tell you what you are actually good at. Okay, so let's move on to the next. What do people often compliment you or ask you help with? Next is, what have you learned and practiced that you excel at? This is something that you're already good at, and you do not need external skills to learn this particular thing. So that things will come under this particular element. Next element is what the world needs. So these are some questions that can help you identify what problems or issue do you care deeply about. How can you contribute to making the world a better place? How do you like helping others or making an impact? If you could change something in the world, what would it be? So basically, how you can provide to the economy, to the society, how you can make an impact. This is something that will come under this particular category. I know all of these questions you will take a lot of time to write and journal on. Take each question every day for the next at least 21 days and journal, and I'm sure you'll come closer to identifying your Ikigai. Next element is your profession element. That is something that you can be paid for. What skills or service do people pay for in your field? How can you turn your passion and skills into a sustainable career? What skills or services can you offer that people would pay for? And lastly, what industries or career align with your strengths and interests? Here, identifying your Ikigai is not about identifying an activity which you absolutely love, but actually making your passion into a full-blown career wherein you are generating income streams out of it. So that's the entire idea of identifying your Ikigai. So you have to journal a lot. You can actually watch this particular video wherein I've talked about skills that you can be paid for, and I'm sure you will identify with any of the skills that I've talked about in this particular video and identify your Ikigai, your passion, your vocation, your mission, and your profession. So Ikigai is actually the mix of all of these four things: your passion, your vocation, your mission, and your profession. So once you have identified that, we move on to step number 3, wherein we identify the overlaps between all 4 of these. So you can't be just good at just your mission and be lacking on your in your passion, in your profession, and in your mission. You have to be equal points. You have to average out each and everything in all of these 4 categories. So what you need to do is you need to circle out what is overlapping in all of the 4 categories. And I'm sure not a lot of things will be overlapping in all the 4 of the categories. 1 or 2 things will erupt from these 4 elements which will be overlapping, and that is something that you need to boil down to identify your ikigai. So for example, for me, 2 of the professions were boiling down to my ikigai, that was speaking to a large crowd. So for me, teaching is something when I address a large crowd, and when I'm creating content is something where I'm addressing a large crowd. Me being a public speaker, speaking and coming in front of videos is actually fulfilling my ikigai, and also my profession of teaching is something that fulfills my profession, my passion of public speaking. That's how I've boiled down to my ikigai, and these are the 2 things that I have selected in my career that I want to pursue and eventually ace in. So this was the step number 3. So step number 3 will be super easy to you. By the end of step number 2, you will identify what your ikigai is, and in step number 3 you will be absolutely clear about what your ikigai is. Lastly, step number 4 is to take action and experiment. What you think your ikigai is, what you feel your ikigai is, might not be your ikigai. So how you confirm your ikigai is by taking actions and by pursuing that vocation. For example, initially when I was just starting out creating content on YouTube, I was not sure. But as and when I took action, I created videos, I created multiple videos. That is when I realized, oh, this is something that I absolutely love something, and I would do that for the rest of my life. I can create videos for the rest of my life and create an impact and reach you all for the rest of the life. You need to identify and be clear and committed towards your actions and your ikigai in order to pursue it. And that can only come with when you do more of it. Just ask yourself one question. Can I do this till I am 60 or 70? If the answer is yes, that's your ikigai. You've found it. But if the answer is no, it's now time to go back to the step number 2 and now do the entire stuff again. Until and unless you find exactly what your ikigai is, this is not a process and exercise that can be completed in a stipulated amount of time, but this exercise will take you some time, at least some months to complete. But when you have done this entire process, I am sure you will be very clear in your actions, you'll be very confident in your actions, and you'll not be confused. And that is when you'll find your ikigai, you'll find your passion, and you'll start getting excited about the day. Like for example, I'm super excited about Mondays. Taking classes, researching, creating videos is something that I have dreamt of all my life. And now that I get to do it, is just the best life already. So these were the 4 steps that you need to take in order to identify your passion, identify your ikigai, and function from a place wherein you know your why and be your best version. So yeah, that was all that I wanted to talk about. Simple yet very impactful exercise. Let me know what are the 2 or 3 things that are boiling down in step number 3. I'll be super happy to know what's your ikigai, and also be super happy to know that you have done and completed this particular exercise. So yeah, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video till the very end. I'm super grateful for all of the love that I'm receiving on the channel, all of the views, all of the comments. I'm immensely grateful for everything. Thank you so much for appreciating the videos. I will see you in the next video very soon. Till then, bye-bye.